Excellent stuff. A very good morning to you all. Thank you ever so much for joining me. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the content and training specialists for Shortcuts Software. So this morning we are going to be going through our employee setup and our employee management. And this is really following on from our masterclass of last week, where we went through sort of essential management setup. So we do have quite a bit to get through this morning. So I will sort of break down all the different things we're going to go through. You will find, depending on how many different types of viewers we've got, this may be looked at from like a management perspective, setting up an employee. But I also appreciate some of you may be front of house setting up employees, and some of you may be stylist, therapist yourself that just want the top tips when it comes to making extra appointments. Now, over the next couple of weeks, we will be doing a back to basics because we do get requested quite a lot for new staff members, how to make appointments and things like that. So that will be coming in the next couple of weeks as well. Now, if this is your first time joining me for one of our Shortcuts Masterclass, it's lovely to have you on board. And if you've joined us before, thank you ever so much for joining us again. You will know there is just a little bit of housekeeping just before we get into the fun stuff. So before we begin this morning, the duration of this webinar will be approximately 60 minutes. My microphone is switched on, whereas everyone else has automatically been muted. But as always, I do say, ladies and gents, if you do want to have a chat with me, if you do want to unmute yourself, have a little chat, ask some questions, please feel free to. No issues whatsoever. Of course, as always, your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar, and your questions will be taken either via the Q&A or the chat box. Now, as I said just a couple of seconds ago, if you do want to interact with me, if you do want to have a chat, if you do want to unmute yourself, that is perfectly fine to do so. I will always keep an eye on the questions throughout. If it's particularly sort of important at that particular moment, I may just quickly answer that. So if I do go quiet for any length of time, that's just what I'm doing there. If not, I may just save the questions just to the end. Now, as always, I do kind of say the majority of my masterclasses are all like live demonstrations. I don't really do too much in the way of PowerPoints unless we're talking stats and figures and things like that. So for this morning, that's pretty much it. We're going to jump straight into the live stuff, and we do have quite a few things to get through. But as always, I do say, if you do want to chat with me further, feel free to drop me an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk, or you can give me a call on 0161 972 4900, and it's option 1 and option 4. Now, I know quite a few of you have signed up via our social media pages, which is fantastic. If you've not subscribed or you're not liking, sharing and following our social media pages, please feel free to do so on both Instagram and Facebook. And the tag handle for that is just Shortcuts UK. So you can go onto our Instagram and our Facebook, and it's just Shortcuts UK. I will always be advertising the up and coming masterclasses as well as some top tips and tricks throughout the weeks and months. So that is it for this morning for the PowerPoint presentation, ladies and gents. What we're going to do now is we're just going to jump straight into it, and we're going to open up our Shortcuts Fusion system. So from here, I'm going to open up Shortcuts Fusion. Excellent stuff. So we've opened up our Shortcuts Fusion system. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to look at creating brand new employee levels. So this is kind of the order we would do it in. So if we are thinking about adding a new employee, maybe we need to add a new employee level. Now, the employee level really determines their floor level, but also the pricing if you're using tiered level pricing. So maybe you've got a graduate stylist, maybe you've got a senior stylist, but you're about to take on a director or a principal stylist or a head therapist or a senior barber. And we need to create that new level before we create that brand new employee. So the first thing we're going to do on our navigation bar is on the right hand side is we're going to click on to setup. And then from here, we're going to click on to employees. Now, once we've clicked into employees, you will see down the bottom here, we have our levels, okay? Now, if you've already got the level created, naturally, we don't need to recreate it. So if you're about to add in a new employee, and they're going to be a senior stylist, but we've already got a senior stylist, we don't need to add another senior stylist level in. But if we're going to create a brand new level, we just click onto the levels icon towards the bottom right-hand corner. And then we can click New. And from here, we can just add that level in. I'm just going to call it Top Barber. But this could be head therapist, principal stylist, clinician, whatever it needs to be. So I'm just going to click Done. Now you can also as well add a color in. The color appears at the top of the employee column. You can also add a description for this particular level too. And if you are using the walk-in manager, we would recommend clicking the Can Be Allocated icon just here as well. Then to the right, we can just click Save just here. Now, if you do have any previous levels, feel free to now to just, take a look and just work through all of them there as well. So you've got artistic director, stylist, and so forth. And you can just work through each individual one. And then all we do is we click Done. So I did just have a quick question. I will just get to that very quickly. Let's just have a quick look. Can the color be set up on enterprise? Very, very good question. For enterprise users, I'm 99.9% sure it can. At the end, what I do is I've got your email address from signup. So very, very good question. I'm about 99% sure you can. I will send you across just a very quick step-by-step of how to do it. I'm 99% sure you can. But I will look straight at the end. That's not a problem. I've got your email address. That's a great question. So for our enterprise users, can we add employee colors? I'm pretty sure we can, but I will find out at the end for you. But yeah, great question. Thank you ever so much. So just to recap there, we've looked at adding in those employee levels as well as those relevant colors, which can be identified on the appointment column for other employees to identify you as well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at adding a brand new employee. And because we've now got that level, we want to add that employee in. So perhaps we want to add our top barber in. So I'm just going to click New. And we're going to add in our employee alias. The alias is what your clients will see when they go ahead and make an appointment. So I'm just going to add my alias in there. Now you will notice we do have security levels here. Owner, manager, employee, stock, and quite a few on there as well. That really determines what they will have access to on their shortcut system. We're going to leave it unassigned for the time being, but we are going to cross back on that in just a sec. So I'm going to click Done. And there we can see we've got my employee. We can then go ahead and fill out all of the relevant information here. To the left of this, you'll notice we have the level. Now we've currently got a default level, but I'm going to change this. I'm going to go down and I'm going to add top barber. And that was the level we created just a few moments ago. Now, while we're here, we can also adjust the phone number, the email, and everything like that. For data privacy purposes, the clients will only see the alias. They will not see the first name, the last name, and so forth. Towards the bottom right-hand corner, you will also notice we have an appointment book position. This is where they will sit on the appointment diary. So if they have a particular position, maybe you like to go from top stylist downwards, or maybe you like to sort of differentiate between your therapist and your stylist, or maybe you're just simply moving over from a different provider and you want to, change that around there. So I'm just going to add in and pop it at position 4. Underneath this, you can also specify whether this employee is available for online booking. And of course, this will then mean this employee can be booked via your online booking platform, mobile guest app, and Google Reserve. Underneath, we also have a send appointment communications to clients. This will be things like appointment reminders and text message marketing and confirmation emails and so forth. Perhaps if this employee is a self-employed employee, you maybe don't want them using your text message bundle to contact their clients. And all we're going to do is click Save right down the bottom. Now, while we're here, it is also worth just clicking the pin icon towards the very center bottom and setting this employee up with a pin. But later on, you will see how the employee, Gareth, can change his own pin if he needs to. We're just going to pop that pin in just there. Now, for those of you that want to tweak your online booking or want to make your salon mobile guest apps really stand out, or perhaps just to make things look a little bit more polished, you will notice as we look at our employee Gareth, you will notice the employee profile to the left-hand side is rather bare. Okay, so when a client is to make an appointment via the mobile guest app or online, this is the profile photo they will see, and it looks just like this. So we can see we've got a profile photo just here. So this is the photo we would look at changing, and this is all done in the employee profile in Fusion. So what we would do is we would click the More icon towards the bottom left-hand corner of our screen. We can then add in a biography for this particular employee. And towards the bottom, we can also click a picture icon, and we can upload a picture from our desktop or our pictures or whatever it may be. And that is what will be seen when we make the appointment. Now we've also got the biography that we added in here. So where does this pull through to? So again, when a client goes ahead and makes an appointment via the mobile guest app or online booking, just like we saw with our online booking, it will appear just here. You'll notice to the to the right-hand side, I should say, to the right-hand side of the employee profile, you will see we've got this information icon just here. So the reason we add this in, and as well as the profile photos, is the client may not remember what that employee looks like, or they may be a brand new client, and they're going through and they look at this and they read the biography and they think, yep, Gareth is a top barber with 10 years experience. Or Rachel has been with us since college and is our master color expert. Things like that. It's a great way to sort of organically upsell your employees as we go through. So it's always worth just ensuring we have those details inputted. And then all we would do is simply click Done in the bottom right-hand corner. Now what we're going to look at now is removing an employee. Now essentially what we don't do is we don't necessarily delete an employee. Now, the reason we don't delete an employee is for data privacy, GDPR and everything like that. But we can make the employee inactive. Now, often when we go ahead and we do this, we may come across basically what looks like an error. Okay, and it happens quite often. So, for example, I'm going to choose Sam just here. And towards the top of the screen here, where we've got status is active, I'm going to take the tick out of the active box. And when I do, it says we cannot make this employee inactive because Sam still has future appointments. Please run the future appointments report to find out and move the appointments. So what that is essentially saying is Sam cannot be made inactive because he's actually got tasks scheduled in or he's got appointments booked in. So we're naturally not able to delete this employee. So what we can do, we can see here, if we go to tomorrow, see if we can see Sam. Has he got anything booked in? There he is, just there. So he's got all of these appointments here, and he's got all of these appointments just here. So how can we see into the future in case he's booked up for the next sort of 6 or 7 months? So what we can do on the right-hand side of our navigation bar, we can click onto Tools, and we can click onto Reports. To the left-hand side, we can expand the Employees category. And you'll notice we have this report just here called Future Appointments. If we click onto this, we can click View down towards the center bottom of our screen. To the left-hand side, you can filter the employee. We're just going to add that employee across. Now, with regards to the date range, depending on how far you feel this employee may be booked, you can really go as far as necessary. So I'm going to go from today quite far into the future. And then we just click View towards the bottom right-hand screen. So we can now see all of the appointments that we've got booked in. It would then be a case of using this. Perhaps we could export it or print it out. We would then use this report to then maybe move the appointments across to another relevant stylist. Once all of the appointments have been moved across, we can go ahead and make that employee inactive. Once we've made them inactive, they will stay on the system for around 5 years for data privacy. Okay, so we've created that new level, top barber, and we've created that new employee, Gareth. Now what we would need to do is look at adding in the capabilities and the security of this particular employee. And this all affects security, what they can see on the Shortcuts Fusion system, and capabilities will really determine what they're capable of doing. And this is most important for our online booking, because of course we don't want the employee getting booked in for services that they do not do. So first of all, we're going to look at adding in a security level. So to the right hand side, we're going to click onto Setup, and then we're going to click Configuration directly underneath this. Towards the bottom left hand corner, we're going to click onto General, and towards the top left, we're going to click onto Security. To the left, you will see we have our security levels. Now, these are not to be confused with those styling levels that we looked at, such as top barber and principal stylist. Security levels determine what the employee can see on your Shortcuts Fusion system. It's essentially what they will have access to, such as reports and configuration items. So you will see I've got owner, manager, employee, stock. I've got quite a few created. What you will notice, if we always scroll right down to the bottom, you will notice we've got my employee, Gareth, the one we created together just a few moments ago, is currently under the unassigned section. Now, if you've ever created a new employee yourself and you've gone to log in at the beginning of the screen here, and you happen to notice, for example, Gareth, in my instance, isn't visible, this is because he does not have a security level, because we haven't specified what Gareth can see in our shortcut system. So what we're going to do is we're going to make Gareth have a security level. Now you'll notice we've got these 6 grey dots to the left-hand side of our employee. These 6 grey dots here are our multi-select tabs. These enable us to multi-select certain things. So I'm going to click onto Gareth, and you will notice he's been highlighted just here. I'm going to move him to the correct security level. So using the left-hand side of my mouse, I'm just going to click and drag and drop him under the correct security level. And you'll notice I've popped him under stock, but maybe I want to move him up. Maybe I want to pop him under employee. So I can do exactly the same. I can select him there using my multi-select tabs. And I'm just going to click and drag in one move and drop him under employee. Then what we're going to do is click done and then click done again. We may just have to give a quick restart to our Shortcuts Fusion system, but that change should be almost immediate. Perfect. So we've created that security level, we've created that employee, and we've now created a security level. Now, maybe you're looking at this and thinking, okay, well, I've added them to a security level, but what can they see? I want to make sure they've got the correct level of access. So exactly the same, we're going to go back to setup and configuration. And again, in the bottom left, we're going to click onto general, and we're going to click onto security again. Now you'll notice at the top of the screen, we have this access icon just here. So if we click onto that, you will notice on the left-hand side, we have all of our security levels. And it's simply just a case of clicking onto this and choosing the relevant level. And then to the right-hand side, you can expand the correct category and make the changes. So you can see on the right-hand side, we pop a tick in there for access. Now, if you're doing this as an enterprise user using the security levels tree on your enterprise system, just always please bear in mind that the tick box for security in enterprise is to give no access. It's essentially reverse to this. So here we would place a tick if we want to give them access. In Enterprise Manager, we would place a tick if we wanted to remove the access or essentially give them no access. So it's always worth just bearing that in mind if you are an enterprise user. So from here, we can go ahead and make the relevant changes to give access. And as we said in Enterprise Manager, restrict access by placing a tick in the box there. And then in the bottom right, again, we can click done, and we may just have to give a quick restart to our shortcut system. Excellent stuff. So now we're going to take a look at capabilities, because we've set that employee up and we've said they're available for online booking and they've got the correct level and they've got the correct security level. But now what we need to do, we need to ensure they've got the correct capabilities, because this employee is going to be getting booked via online. So if we don't do the correct capabilities, they could end up getting booked in for something that they don't do, which of course I'm sure Gareth would not be too thrilled about. So we're going to take a look at capabilities. And I appreciate, ladies and gents, when you look at my capabilities, it will naturally look a little bit different to yours. So bear with me as I run through a couple of different scenarios. So when we click onto capabilities, it's really a 3-step process. And the best way to think of this is just wheels in motion. It's cogs of a machine. Whatever you write here and how you determine to do it, clients will not see. It's really the functionality we're worried about. But you can split things down and make changes and everything like that if you need to. So you'll notice I've got children, I've got treatment, I've got visor and color and everything like that. But I haven't added in any capabilities for gents cuts or barbering or ladies cuts and finishes and all manner of things like that. Now, if you've already got the capabilities set up, so to start off nice and easy, you will notice we've got my children's capability categories, and you will see I've got my child's cut there. So perhaps all we need to do is just link my employee to the capability category, because if you remember, I've taken on my employee Gareth. So perhaps he's just going to do children's cuts moving forward. So all we need to do is literally specify that Gareth, you will see he's missing from here, that Gareth can do children's cuts. So towards the bottom center of the screen, we're just going to click employee. And we're going to click Gareth on the left-hand side. And then we're going to click add. And we're going to click done. So that is now specifying that Gareth is capable of doing children's cuts. So if you've already got the services, all we need to do is link the brand new employee. But maybe, as in this case, Gareth is a brand new employee, but he's going to do a brand new set of services. Naturally, we would need to create those services. Once we've got those services, we would then link them to the capability categories. So it may be we need to split them down, and we'll take a look at that in just a sec. So what we're going to do is we're going to click new on the left-hand side to create our capability category. And I'm just going to call it gents, but again, you can write this however you see fit to. Clients will not see this. Then to the bottom, we're going to link the service or services. Now to the left-hand side, you can see I've got my barber category. And if I just quickly expand this barber category, you will see I've got quite a few different services. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the 6 grey dots next to barber. And what that will do is it will add in these 3 services just here. It essentially multi-selects each service within that category. And then we're going to click add. So we've got cut and finish, dry cut, and men's facial. We've grouped all of those together as one capability. When we click done, you'll notice we get this warning message just here. Please note, no employees have been assigned to the capability. Please assign at least 1 employee. So we're going to click done. Now down the bottom, we're going to click employee. And we're going to choose Gareth again. And we're going to click add. We're going to click done. So this now specifies that Gareth is capable of doing these 3 services. But it may be moving forward, you have an employee that does 1 service but doesn't do the other. And this is, of course, very common in beauty salons with nails and waxing. We offer certain waxes, but we don't do all waxing. If that is the case, we then need to split it down. So, for example, I've said Gareth can do a cut and finish, a dry cut, and a men's facial. But I'm now going to add in that he can do styling. lady styling, but he's not able to do all lady styling. So again, I'm going to click New, and I'm going to call it Ladies Styling. And again, down the bottom, I'm going to click onto Service. To the left-hand side, I'm just going to expand my styling. But this time, I don't want to add in all of my services, because whilst Gareth is capable of doing a hair up and a lady's blow dry, he's not capable of doing a lady's cut and finish. So what I don't want to do, I don't want to add all of these services in, because he's only capable of doing a few of them. And of course, I don't want to lump him in to do all of them. So I'm going to use my multi-select tabs down the left-hand side to specify certain services. So I'm going to say we're going to have braids, and we're going to have curls, we're going to have fringe trim, we're going to have hair up, and we're going to have ladies blow dry. But he's not able to do ladies cut and finish. I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to click Done. And we get the same warning message just there. I'm going to click Done, and I'm going to choose my employee. Now again, I'm going to say we've got Gareth, so I'm going to select Gareth, but I'm also going to say Amy, Amelia, and myself are capable of doing these services. We're going to click Add, and we're going to click Done. But we didn't add in ladies cut and blow dry or anything like that. And the reason we didn't do that is because Gareth isn't capable of doing a ladies cut and blow dry, whilst Amy, Amelia, and Chris are. But we didn't want to add the ladies cut and blow dry in here because Gareth isn't capable of doing that. So I'm going to create a separate capability category. I'm going to call it ladies cuts. And again, I'm going to click service down the bottom. I'm going to expand styling exactly the same as we just did. And this time I am going to add that ladies cut and finish in, and I am going to add that restyling. I'm going to click Add. I'm going to click Done. Same warning message, click Done. Now this time when I go to my employees, I'm going to add Amy, I'm going to add Amelia, and I'm going to add myself, but I'm not going to add Gareth in. I'm just going to add those 3 employees just there. And then we're going to click Done. So the reason we split that out is because currently Gareth is capable of doing ladies styling such as blow dries and braids and things like that. And exactly the same Amy, Amelia, and Chris are. But Gareth isn't able or capable of doing a ladies cuts. So we split it down just here, and we still added Amy and Amelia in. So that essentially determines that Amy, Amelia, and Chris can do all ladies services, but we just split them down in our capabilities. Now, the good news is, ladies and gents, this will not affect the way services are booked. It hasn't split the services out of their categories when a client goes to make an appointment. You will still see that is exactly the same just here. This is what a client will see when they book online. And it's only capabilities that we split down just like that, just to make life that little bit easier. And that is our capabilities. So now we're going to move to some top tips of our appointment diary. Now, some of you may be using this, some of you may not, but it's a great way moving forward as we move into our super busy period of Christmas. I know it's just around the corner. Some of you may be thinking about it, some of you may not, but it is just around the corner and we are going to be super busy. So when we are looking at our appointment diary, some of you may have quite a lot of employees working, such as myself here. I've got Amy, I've got Sam, I've got Rachel, and I've got so forth. What we can start to do is we can start to filter our appointment diary down just to change the way we look at things. So to the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice we've got the menu icon. One of the first things we can do to basically filter our appointment diary down is to adjust the view mode just here. So we're currently looking at all day. I can change this to half a day and is essentially zoomed in on my appointment diary. And we can go back to our menu in the bottom right and do exactly the same. And it just makes our life a little bit easier. Often we do this if we're open perhaps 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. and we want to sort of zoom in and zoom out. Now also as well with the view mode, if you are looking at half of the day, as we are, if I just do that for you now, if I look at half a day, once we get to 3 p.m, please don't worry, it will continue working through the day. It won't just stop you at 3 p.m. If you're open till 6, it will continue working through the day there. Now, another fantastic way to filter your appointment diary down is using the filter option. So for example, towards the bottom left-hand corner, we click onto the filter icon just here. And we can click onto filter options just here. And these are some default options created for you. So a firm favorite is to use the rostered on. So for example, you will notice we have Gareth and we've got a Amelia and everything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to click onto rostered on, and that will remove our employees that are not rostered on for today, just to make life a little bit easier. And as essentially filtering our diary down. We can remove that by taking the tick out of the rostered on icon here. Now, perhaps maybe you're looking at teaching a new front of house staff member, or you've got a new employee started, and they're not quite sure what Gareth is capable of doing, and they're not quite sure what Chris is capable of doing when they're making an appointment. So what we can do, we can filter via the capabilities we just created. So on the left-hand side, we can click capabilities. And down the bottom here, we can click onto Gent. So this was the capability category we created. You'll notice this is now showing me Gareth. I can remove that and go to ladies cuts. And you'll notice it now shows me my employees that are capable of doing ladies cuts. So this is a great way moving forward to be super accurate. And at the same time, it is removing certain columns to remove error, okay? Because we want to make your life a lot easier moving forward. So that's how we can filter our diary down. But maybe you want to take it a little step further than that. So under our filter, we have our filter options, okay? But we can also create our own custom filters, maybe of stylists, colorists, and therapists. And that is rather than just selecting via capabilities or rostered on, you can choose specific employees. So for example, I'm going to click new on my filters tab just here. And I'm just going to call it barber. To the left-hand side, I can select my barbers. So there's Gareth there. Oh, that's me. There's Gareth just there. And at the same time, just for the purposes of demonstration, I'm also going to add in Rachel as well. Just going to click add. And then we're going to click done. And it says, do you want to apply this custom filter? Yep, let's have a little look at it. So you can now see my custom filter will show me both my barbers. And again, if we go to our filter in the left-hand corner, under the filters icon here, as soon as I click onto barber, it will just swizzle those two around there. Now, you may wish to do this for colorists or therapists and so forth, and it's a great way to ensure you can flick between different things. Can filters be set up at enterprise, or do we need to set up manually at, I can't see what the next bit is there. You should be able to do it at point of sale. Filters will not be set up for enterprise. It will not be set up at enterprise manager. Very, very good question. It will be done at point of sale or your POS system, fusion system, like what we're doing now. Should be exactly the same, just in the bottom left-hand corner. Filters are not set up in enterprise manager. No, it's done in the fusion system, just like what we're doing here. Very, very good question. So that there is how we can set up our filters. And I think it's a great way to be nice and accurate, especially if you are a salon that has multiple staff members. Once we start getting into sort of the 8s, 9s, 10s, and 20 plus employees, we really should be looking at having filters in the bottom left-hand corner just to make life easier, especially if you're using front of house staff members. I've been to a few salons with lots of employees, and we set up colorists and stylists if they just do one or the other, but also things like barbers and therapists and things like that as well. I have also seen it for certain working days, I believe, as well, for things like that. But that is our filter. Now, again, for those of you that are maybe brand new to shortcuts or just want some extra top tips, we can look at our appointment diary. We've quite a few different colors we're looking at here, or three really, 3 different colors, but a few different colors to look at nonetheless. We've got this gray color just here, we've got the green color just here, and we've also got this beigey brown color just here. Now, I'm sure the majority of you watching will know what these different colors mean, but maybe you're new to shortcuts and you just need a little bit of assistance working out what the colors mean. Well, what we can do in the bottom right-hand corner is we can click onto Menu. And you'll notice we have this option just here that says Color Legend. And you can see we've got our normal, confirmed, cancelled, no-show, arrived, completed, and a clash. Now we're going to look at this clash in particular. So what does that mean? And why has Sam's client gone this color just here? Because it doesn't look like it's clashing with anything. But you will notice as we go ahead and move the appointment, you will see in Sam's column, it goes this sort of dark blue to black color. Now, the reason this is all to do with our capabilities, because a few moments ago, we didn't specify that Sam was capable of doing a ladies cut and finish or a gents cut and finish. So it's essentially saying we've booked a service in that he's not capable of doing, and it's given us that clash icon just there. But it has allowed us to make the appointment, of course, because it may be Sam is training. But of course, as we know, capabilities are most important for our online booking. But that there is our color legend. Now, as we move to the top of the screen, you will notice we've got our employee level color here. So we can see for Gareth, we've got that top barber employee level just here. Now, what we're going to do on our Fusion system is we're going to click the top of our screen, which will open up our quick employee profile. Now, while you're here, you can see our level. We can see the capabilities that we've just created and as well that biography. Towards the bottom center of our screen, you will notice we have these icons just here. If you wish to, you can change the employee PIN. An employee can only change their own PIN. So no need to be sneaky here. You're not able to just, as a bit of a joke, shall we say, click onto somebody else's profile and change their PIN. If you want them to be able to do that, that can be accessible via security access. And if you do need to watch the video back, we did discuss security access towards the very beginning. But by default, an employee can only change their own PIN. What we're also going to do to make life a lot easier as we move towards our busy period, as we know, we may get those clients that say to us, Gareth, what's your availability tomorrow between 9 and 10? And what's your availability Wednesday or Thursday between 10 and 12 and Friday and Saturday? And you think, oh, I'm skipping backwards and forwards and I'm getting a little bit confused. So what we can do, we can use the View Week icon towards the bottom left-hand corner. And this will show the full working week of that particular employee. Now, what you can also do is you can filter it once more in the bottom left-hand corner. We could change it to 2 or 3 weeks. Now, you may also have a client that says to you, okay, well, what's Gareth's availability to do a gents cut, but I also want Rachel to do the full head of highlights. And you then find yourself flicking backwards and forwards thinking, oh, now I need to know both employees' availability. It can get a little bit confusing. But let's make life a lot easier for you. So we filter to just Gareth's column. But in the bottom right-hand corner, we can click onto Employee. And again, using those multi-select tabs, we can then filter another employee in. So I'm going to click the 6 grey dots next to Rachel to just filter and multi-select both Gareth and Rachel. And we can see they're both here. We can see we've also selected 2 employees just here. And then we can see both employees' availability. It's a great way to really double check availability and ensure we're not missing any appointments. And we're going to be nice and accurate when we make those appointments. And then we click done. But of course, we can also use our filter in the bottom left-hand corner as well, as we saw just a few moments ago, to filter perhaps to specific employees as well, if we need to. Now, a great report we should all be looking at. So for our stylists and our therapists, potentially our managers as well, but particularly for our stylists and our therapists and our employees, what we should be doing is we should be clicking on our quick profile at the top. And at the very center bottom of our quick profile, we have this performance icon. Now, when we click onto this, this will show our performance. And to ensure we're meeting our commission structures and our KPIs and targets, if applicable, we should all be keeping an eye on this. And it's completely live and it changes all of the time. Now, depending on your security level, so I've got the security level as owner, I can see everybody's performance. But depending on your security access, by default, an employee will only be able to see their own performance. They will not be able to click anybody else's avatar at the top. So when we're looking at our performance, you'll notice we've got our view mode along the top here. We can view it in count. That's for things like how many services we've done, how many retail products we've sold. Points if you're using employee points, and pounds if you want to know the monetary value. So let's take a look at our employee services breakdown. To the right of this, you will see it is for the current month, and you can filter excluding or inclusive of that if applicable. Underneath, you will see we've got our report categories. Okay, so we've got styling, color, treatments, extensions, facials, nails, eyes, body, electrolysis, and injections. Underneath for today, so that is for this particular employee, Sam, we can see he's done one client that fell under the styling category as well as the color category. So that is because the client had both a color and a cut. We can then also see the business underneath. So not necessarily what the employee has done, the entire business. We can then see the employee for this week, the business for this week, and of course the employee for the month, and the business for this month of October as well. Now, as we go down to the very bottom of the screen, we've got our employee dollars or sterling, employee sterling breakdown. So here you will notice I've got it in view mode as count. So we can see I have done 2 services and none have rebooked, and I've not sold any retail. And I've got a monetary value of £25 for my services, nothing for retail and nothing for sundry. Sundries, things like gift cards, gift certificates, and any ad hoc payments into the business. You can then see the total and the average client and the average spend per hour. Now, the average spend per hour is quite important because you may be targeted on the amount of clients or the average spend per hour. So it's always worth just keeping an eye on this as well. Now, as a stylist or a therapist, if you are targeted or working on KPIs, bonuses, or commissions, I would always say keep an eye on this. It helps us keep on track, and we will instinctively look to upsell certain services or retail products take home, especially as well with Christmas just around the corner. It is the great time to be talking about those take home and home care packages. So we should all be taking a look at performance as well. Now, again, if you're an owner, manager, or director, you should be looking at everybody's and really seeing where it is across the board there as well. So let's just go back to where we were. And exactly the same, again, if we click at the top of the screen, you'll notice we've got our print icon in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, it's very common, and I did this myself when I was in a salon, at the beginning of the day to print out my, my schedule. Okay, now the reason I did that is I didn't need to keep going back to the reception desk. Naturally, things may change, and hopefully we will be made aware of this, but at the beginning of the day, I would print out my appointment schedule. It got me in the mindset of what I was going to be going through today, and I knew what I was going to be doing. So I knew I would have colors, I knew I would have cuts, I knew I would have toners, children's cuts, and things like that. It instinctively prepared me for the day, so I knew exactly how long certain things were going to take. And of course, I also knew if I had any downtime, that I could perhaps maybe look at adding a blow dry in there or something like that. So for this, I would always be printing out my appointment schedule. And if you're a front of house staff member watching, you can do exactly the same and get all of your employees' schedules printed out. Now, what I would also recommend you do is print employee client CPC. Now, so for those of you that are using alerts, or for those of you that are using visit history and anything like that in the client profile, that will be printed out as well. So it may be we've got a client booked in and they're going to have a full head of highlights. It's always worth just keeping an eye on their visit history, so the colors they've previously had. Now, if you've never used visit history or anything like that, we will be looking at that in just a few seconds' time. Now, if you want to print out your employee client CPC, and I would very much recommend you do, you can also print it out via the receipt printer, and you can do exactly the same for the appointment schedule as well. So the reason we do that is, of course, an A4 piece of paper is quite a lot of waste of paper and quite a lot of waste of ink. So you may just wish to print it out of your receipt printer by selecting this option just here. And then we just click cancel. So that's what I would be doing right at the beginning of the day to prepare myself for the day ahead. So we spoke then about the client CPC, the client profile card, and we also spoke about visit notes and alerts and things like that. So how do we then input that information? Well, we can do it via the client screen on the right-hand side of our navigation bar. We can do it at the point of sale screen, or we can simply double click on a client and we can go into the profile just here. We can update any information such as a message or their refreshment towards the center bottom of the screen, as well as any opt-in details. Please ensure you have their permission before opting in a client. Towards the bottom left-hand corner, we have an alert. Now, this is a fantastic tool to use when we're making an appointment to see if this client has any allergies or anything that we need to be made aware of. But right down the center bottom of the screen, we're going to click onto the history icon. Now, you can fill out the client history. Now, you can do it later, you can do it another day, or you can add it on at the point of sale screen. It really is up to you. So I'm going to click onto history. And this will display all of the previous history of this client. You will see for today, down the bottom of the screen, I'm going to click the new icon. Now I'm going to add in my visit history. Now this doesn't necessarily need to be the service they had because that will automatically be assigned once the client has been checked out. But it may be what clipper grades you used. It may be what length of eyelash extensions you use, what color you use. These are all very, very common visit history notes. So what I'm going to do is click new down the center bottom of the screen. And I'm just going to say 813 20 volt toned with richness. 813 and 20 volt is my go-to color for today. And then I'm just going to click done. We can see that just there. Now this will be printed out on the client CPC, which is what we spoke about just a few moments ago at the top of our employee quick profile. These visit notes will be printed out. So it saves us going to our reception desk. It saves time, it saves paper, and of course it saves clogging up the reception desk. Now, whilst we've got the visit notes down here, you can print them out to the bottom right-hand corner if you see fit to. But you can also filter. So of course we spoke quite a bit about filtering for today. So maybe you're a beauty therapist and you've done manicures and pedicures and things like this on this particular client. And you've been adding in those different nail varnish colors for the last 5 years. And the client says to you, do you know what, Chris? I love the color you did on my nails. I love the color you did on my hair 6 months ago. And they've been in sort of every couple of weeks in the last 6 months. So there's going to be thousands of visit notes and things like that. Well, what we can do straight away in the bottom left-hand corner, we can filter dates with just visit notes, just to make life a little bit easier. But you might need to filter it down a little bit more. So of course the client said, I love the color you did in the last 6 months. So again, towards the bottom left-hand corner, we can click onto date range. And you can then filter for that date range. And again, it will show visit history notes for that particular date range. You can also do exactly the same for service. So maybe they said, I love the color you did when I had biosculpture, or I love the color you did when I had a full head of highlights. And again, you can filter for the specific service just here. So it's a great way to ensure we're really being nice and accurate in everything we do. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, we're just going to click on to done. Now I'm going to show a couple of tools now, and these sort of tools work sort of hand in hand with each other, but you can kind of use the first one independently if you wish to. So the first one we're going to look at is what I call the employee assistant. And this is absolutely fantastic, as I'm sure you all are, chock-a-block, especially on the lead up to Christmas. And you want to ensure you do not miss an appointment, okay? So maybe there's that 45-minute appointment down here, we're back to back, that we missed. We're going to use the employee assistant to really make our bookings a little bit easier. So towards the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice we've got this magic wand just here. And this is the appointment assistant just here. So really all we're going to do is we're going to feed the information that the client is giving to us, okay? So if they're saying to you, I want an appointment between today and next week, between the hours of 10 and 3 p.m. with Sam, to save you going backwards and forwards, you can feed all of that information into your Shortcuts Fusion system, and it will feed you back the results. So in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to click onto Clients, and I'm going to add my client in. So just the same as before. Now along the top here, you can specify when this client would like to come in from their appointment. Depending on the size of the date range, it's usually roughly sort of 4 to 5 months they give you. Depending on the date range here, you can then specify which day they are available. So between today and Monday, the 22nd of Jan, I'm going to say Stacey can only come in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, so just specifying in that entire date range, we can do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now to start off nice and easy, I'm actually just going to keep it for today. And there's a reason I'm just going to keep it for today. To the right hand side, you can then specify when this client would like to start and finish their appointment. So I'm going to say between 10 and 12. To the bottom left hand corner, we simply ask which service they'd like to be booked in for. So I'm going to click Service. I'm going to choose Full Head of Highlights and click Done. Now from here, you can also add in a resource if you're using beauty rooms or nail bars and things like that. And you can also specify a specific employee if Stacey, the client, would like to see a specific employee. If not, all we do is we click Search. And you'll notice it says no available time slots could be found. Would you like to add the client to the wait list? Now, as I said, I'm going to show you two tools. That was the first one there, the appointment assistant, which leads beautifully into my next tool, the wait list. So we can see no available times could be found. Would you like to add the client to the wait list? So I'm going to click yes. And it says Stacey Smith has been added to the waitlist. Would you like to perform another search for Stacey Smith? So you could then say, unfortunately, Stacey, we don't have any availability between the hours and the days you requested. Would you like to look for another date and time for you? I'm just going to click no. So let's say, as we know, Stacey requested an appointment today between the hours of 10 and 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete and move my appointments just on the right hand side here. Let's see if we can get everything out of the way. Oh, I think I need to add in my capabilities. But what would happen in a real life scenario, as long as your capabilities and everything like that are set up correctly, in the bottom left hand corner, you would have your little filter. This is your wait list just here. And this would then show you all bookable requests. So this would flag up depending on your setting. This would flag up for all bookable requests, and then you could click onto Stacey and book the appointment from there. We just need to ensure we've got all of our capabilities set up correctly just there. And that is how we can use our appointment assistant and our waitlist. Now, the appointment assistant, I think, is an absolutely fantastic tool moving forward. I think it's great to ensure we don't miss certain appointments, especially as well, when we are on the lead up to Christmas. And I think as well, it's very important if you're getting a lot of information, requested by the client, you could just make your life so much easier by using the appointment assistant just there. Now we're going to look at just a couple of reports just before we leave for this morning. So a great report we should all be looking at, perhaps you have taken on that new staff member, a great report we should all be looking at is the value of future appointments. And it really keeps us on top. Maybe on the lead up to Christmas, we're thinking we're a little bit quiet. Do we need to do marketing or anything like that? Value of future appointments will really show us this. So what I'm going to do is click Tools and then click Reports. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to Appointments, and I'm going to go down to Value of Future Appointments just here. Towards the center bottom of our screen, we're going to click onto View. And then as this report looks into the future, we're going to set our date range just here, and we're going to go just a couple of days or a week or a month or a couple of months into the future. And you can also filter your employees to the left-hand side as well if you need to. We can click onto the view icon, and we can now see the value of our future appointments. So we can see over the next 5 days, we've got a total revenue of 386.20 due to come in. Please note this doesn't include whether, like if this client has a discount or upsells or change their appointment or anything like that. Then underneath, I think it's very important to see how it is spread across your employees, because you can see we've got a lot of money coming in. But is it one employee that's sort of bringing all the money in? Because, of course, they may go off sick, they may leave, anything like that. And, of course, it's also a great way to see, okay, well, what about our employee down here? Do they need extra training? Do we need to market them? Are they a brand new employee? We really need to keep on top of things. And we can see it split just down here. Now, on the right-hand side, I love the bar graph. I'm quite a visual person. The bar graph is great to really show that differentiation. It's really easy to draw comparisons. So we can see Chris has got the majority just here. And we got Sam, Amelia, and Amy. So it's a great way to draw those comparisons just there. Then as we scroll down, we can also see this bar graph for October. But maybe we're looking at 2 months into the future. This would then show for each month side by side. And again, it's a great way to see, are we busier in December than we are in January? Naturally, we probably will be. Were we busier in August than we were in June, July? Things like that. Did we have more employees working in August? Did we have a new employee in August? Did we run a promotion in August? These are all ways to help us garner better information on our clients and our business. So one last report, and it's actually in our cloud appointment book, okay? And this is called Targets. Now, Targets is an absolutely fantastic function to be looking at, okay? Especially if you are a stylist and you are having weekly targets or things like that. It is a great way to stay on top of things. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our cloud appointment book. And if you've never used our cloud appointment book before, the URL for it is just pos.shortcutsoftware.com. We can set you up with that, or maybe a salon manager or director. They may have the correct level of access to do this for you as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up targets. So in the top left-hand corner, we're going to set up our targets for our employees, and this can all be tracked on our cloud appointment book. So in the top left-hand corner, we're going to click onto Menu. And we're going to click onto Employees and Roster. To the right-hand side, we're going to click onto Targets Setup. Now you can set up a target for the business as a whole, or you can set it up for each individual employee. Now, please be aware, ladies and gents, that the targets for the time being are all weekly, okay? It is psychologically easier to hit a weekly target. We don't have monthly targets or quarterly targets or anything like that for the time being. Now, you'll notice we've got our KPIs just here. So we've got our total sales, we've got our service sales, retail sales, and so forth. You do not have to fill out all of these if you don't want to. You can just fill out one of them if you wish to. So, for example, total sales. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, we just click on to done. So I've only set up the one KPI target. Now, it is also just worth pointing out, ladies and gents, when we do click done, you'll notice nothing really happens. It has saved, so there's no need to panic there. But when we click on to done, nothing changes. So you can just click done. So now we need to track this target. So how do we do that? So in the top left-hand corner, we can click onto Menu, and then we can go down to Reports. And then we've got this report just here that says targets. Now, by default, it will take us to the current week. You can look 2 weeks into the future and 2 weeks into the past. You can also filter your employees just here, where you can view all employees if you need to. I would recommend filtering to one specific employee. And then all we do is we click onto the view icon. Now to the left-hand side, we can see our total sales. So we've done nothing so far. So unfortunately for Leo, he's not done very well so far. But he has only just started. He was off yesterday, Saturday and Sunday. So we can see straight away he's 100% below the target of £1,000. So let's take a look at our line graph, and it works it all out for you. So down the bottom here, we have our color key. So you can see the dashed gray line is our target. The dashed light blue line is pre-booked appointments already booked in, so a bit of a forecast. And then the solid blue line is the actual amount of money generated. Now, what is this fantastic for is it works out the target for you for each day. So for example, Monday, yesterday, I was £167 below my target, and it tells me to keep going. Then for today, we can see total sales so far. I haven't generated any sales, but I've got a remaining pre-booked service of £180. Okay, and we can see that just there looking at my pre-booked dashed blue line as well. So you can see total sales so far, but I do have a remaining pre-booked of £180. That is a bit of a forecast. And you can see in red, I'm £333 below target. So whilst for today it looks like I've got £180 due to come in, I really need to be doing almost twice as much as that. Then we can go to Wednesday. Again, I've got remaining pre-booked services. I've only got £180. That was from yesterday. And I've got, £500 below target. And it just keeps us moving forward. So our employees should really be looking at this in between their clients, on their break, and really seeing, okay, I'm not that far off my daily target today. Can I upsell a treatment? Can I turn that cut and blow dry into a restyle? Should I be discussing take home, aftercare, and things like that? It's a great way for your employees. And as I always say, our employees, whether they're self-employed or not, should really be treating their column like their own business. And that is our cloud appointment book targets. So we ran just a couple of minutes over there. I do apologize for that. But that's it for this morning. Quite a lot to go through, but that was our essential employee setup. I did have a few questions come through, but thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to drop those across to me now. Very, very good question. Can you set targets per level? No. Very, very good question. Targets are all per employee. So yes, I appreciate if you've got lots and lots of staff members you may be working through, whereas rather senior stylist target is XYZ, director target is XYZ. It's all per employee for cloud-based targets. So all employee base, it's not per their styling level. But yeah, very, very good question. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if it's going to be added in the future. I will put it across. It is a good question to do it per level as well as or instead of employee. I'm not sure. It is a very good question, but I will put it across. And when I'm looking at later on the colors for the employee levels, I will also put it across to R&D and just say, is it something we've got a feature request for to change targets to be per level rather than per employee? But that's a very, very good question. Excellent stuff. So thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. I think that's it for all of the questions. It's been a pleasure speaking to everyone. As always, my name has been Chris and I'm a content and training specialist. If you would like to chat with me further, feel free to drop me an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. Thank you ever so much for joining me. All that's left for me to say is take care, and I shall speak to you and see you all again soon. Thank you ever so much. Bye bye for now.